Hi there. So far in the course, we've been writing Java programs using Eclipse. And Eclipse is a very user-friendly development environment in which you can just write Java code and you can run the application. It'll run it for you. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I want to go a little bit underneath the hood and expose some of those inner workings. What if you were to write a Java program outside of Eclipse? If you didn't have Eclipse, how would you write a Java program? And so that's what this lecture is going to be on. So the first thing, of course, we need to have Java installed on the computer. We did that in the first or second lecture of this course where we installed the JDK, the Java Development Kit. Now the Java Development Kit allows us to write Java programs, but not only just write them, we can also run them. So the JDK contains all of those tools for us to write Java programs and then run them. So you don't really need Eclipse. Eclipse is just a development environment that makes your life easier. If you didn't have it, how would you write Java programs? That's what I want to get into here. So here I have a text editor, a basic one, whether you're using Windows or Mac or any other operating system. As long as you have a basic text editor, you should be able to write Java code, as long as, of course, you have the JDK installed. So here I have two classes that I created in this text editor. One of them is called multiplier. Now notice the file name. It's called multiplier.java. Now the file name, always remember, must be the same as the class name. So we've got a class called multiplier. So the file should also be multiplier.java. So that's one class. Is a basic class. It just has one method in here called multiply, and all it does is multiplies the three arguments that are given to this method and returns that value. That's all it does. So it's a simple API. Now we've got another class called client program.java. So click on this file and notice the class name is, of course, client program. This is where we have the main method. Okay, this is going to be entry point of our application. And in here, we're creating an instance of multiplier, and we are invoking the multiply method by passing in a couple of numbers, 3 numbers. And so the result here, we should expect to see the number 24 when we run this program. So if I try to run this program, well, first let me show you where these files are located. I saved both of these files in a folder on my desktop called example, which is right here. So let me open that up, and these are our two files: multiplier.java, client program.java. Now this is going to be identical for you if you're using Windows or any other operating system. So I'm just going to navigate over to this folder in my command prompt, and I'm going to try to run this program using the command prompt. And this is the command prompt that I have open here. So I'm in desktop in the example folder. So over here, if I do an ls command, this should work in Linux. This ls command is going to list all of the files in this current directory. So let's hit ls and notice that we've got two files. We've got client program.java and we've got multiplier.java. So, you might be wondering, how do we run this program? Well, we could try the Java command, but this is not going to be enough. Let me show you. If I do Java and then I try to run the client program.java, hit enter, notice it's not going to work. It's saying could not find or load main class client program.java. So basically it's not able to run our program. And the reason for this is because this Java command, this is known as the Java interpreter. It basically runs Java programs. It needs an intermediary language known as Java bytecode. Now these two files, this is code that you and I as a programmer can understand. This is human readable code, right? But the computer doesn't understand this. The computer needs a byte version of this, a Java bytecode. So this Java interpreter needs an Java bytecode version of these two human readable files. And the way we do that is using the JVAC command. Okay, this JVAC stands for Java compile. So we need to compile this human readable code into computer readable code. Okay, so that's what this JVAC command is going to do for us. So if I do JVAC and then I specify the class name that I want to compile, and I can give multiple files or one file to this command. In this example, I'm just compiling one file, which is multiplier.java. Hit enter, and boom, that should have compiled this code so that the computer could read it. So let's go back to the example folder. Notice there's this new file that has been generated called multiplier.class. Okay, so this is the Java bytecode that was generated because we used the JVAC command. So we translated this human readable file into a computer readable file. The Java interpreter is going to be able to read and understand this file. Now you and I, we're not going to be able to understand it. If I right click and let's try to open this file using some kind of text editor or something, and notice that it's just pretty much gibberish, right? We don't understand what this code looks like. If I was to open this in Sublime Text, it's going to look slightly different. Let's open that up here. Sublime Text. Click on that. Notice that it's able to turn this into bytecode. So this is still not human readable code. The Java interpreter will read this and understand it perfectly. You and I as human beings are not able to understand this. So the Java runtime environment runs code like this, okay? Don't think that it is able to read and understand this. It's not. We need to compile it first, and that's what this JVAC command does. It converts the human readable code into computer readable code. So we've been able to successfully compile multiplier.java. Now let me compile the other class, which is client program.java. So let's hit enter there. And now I expect to see a client program.class file generated in the example folder. So let's go back to the example folder and boom, there you go, client program.class. So notice these are the .java versions. This is code that you and I can understand as human beings. This is code that the Java interpreter, the computer, can understand. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail about the JVM and what the Java interpreter is. But that's for later. But the Java interpreter is going to be able to read and understand these two files. You and I will understand these two files. So hopefully that's clear. I repeated that concept multiple times. It's important to understand. So let's run this code. All we need is a Java command. Okay, this Java command is going to be the interpreter that is able to interpret Java programs. And all you have to do is give the class name that contains the main method. So if I do client program, just like that, this should work. Let's hit enter, and boom, there you go. Notice it's saying result of multiplier 24. Notice that I didn't put .class or .java. I just put client program. All right, that's how you make this run. You just give Java, and then you give the name of the class that contains the main method. You don't give the name of the file. You give the name of the class that contains the main method, and that's what we have here. Java client program contains our main method. That's the starting point, and it's able to run the application successfully. Now the Eclipse environment saves us from these inner workings. We don't have to worry about these details, but it's important to know that they're there. We're going to go a little further in the next couple of lectures on what goes on behind the scenes in a Java application. So stay tuned. I'll see you soon.